All right, folks. I'm giving a little update here. I got a couple little cables to remove from the engine bay, but I've been very working on this a lot in the last couple of days. I got a lot done. I got to degrease the engine bay. You can see down there where the radiator shroud and everything goes. It's pretty gnarly, as they like to say these days. I've got everything. I got it vacuumed out, but I got some. I gotta get some. Gotta remove all this. That's just surface rust there. That's where the battery goes. HVAC area, heater box, everything that's all taken out. Um, and so that firewall, I'm gonna do a light scuff up of that, and get all the loose, junk off there. Then I'm gonna hit it with a primer. I might actually hit it with a rust reformer, even though there's not really any rust, just to protect it. Then I'll hit it with primer. And I was just vacuuming this thing out. Amazing how much dirt falls out of these cars here in the eastern Washington part of the country. And it's, I couldn't believe how much dirt. And I've actually shop vac, and that's my big, huge freaking wrench for taking off that Pitman arm. Yes, there you're on camera. There you go, Zoe. My rocket raccoon. Rocket raccoon. And so there's the bolts for the gearbox for the power steering. I got to put those back where they belong, but capped off the brake lines, fuel line over here, fuel return and send line, coolant lines for the radiator, and so yeah, I just got to take out. This is a cable for actually popping the hood. I can get that out, and then this is the cruise control. Those pop out from the inside. You can kind of see another angle here. Took out the smog canister area. And take the linkage out for the wiper arms. Vacuum that out. Got to put those bolts and put those in a bag so I can label it. Got the doors off today. And I got a little OCD, so I wanted to paint the inside of the car. I did that summer before last. I spent like a month just stripping the carpet and sanding things down and all that good stuff. And I wanted the inside to be totally black because I didn't want any hint of red anywhere because KITT's black. And it sounds insane, but if I knew, and I just roughed it up. I didn't get it down, and this stuff works pretty well. That paint holds amazing. And but what I was trying to say is that I don't want there to be any red. If I had thrown the carpet back in and everything, and I guess I felt bad if I didn't totally go the full mile, and I feel like I'm cutting corners, so I made it black. So I took the doors off today, got some surface rust there. All this stuff's going to be, I'm probably going to end up power washing it, and all that good stuff. This window, this windshield's going to come out. It's actually, there's nothing wrong with it. But the seals I'm going to redo the seals because they're really, or I'll have like Safelite or someone come out and do that and put new seals in it. I don't even know if they could even find glass for this car anymore. Maybe they could. They probably could. They'd probably have to special order it or something, but rear hatch is on. I'm going to take that off today, and that way that'll be off. I need a second person to help me get that off because these old cars, this glass, it's all glass. I mean, this is it, folks. And anyone who's had third gen cars, which is the short term for 82 to 92, is the third gen of Pontiac and Chevy for Firebirds and Camaros. Not a lot of Firebirds out there anymore, but you see plenty of Camaros laying around. I'm not sure why, but they share 60% of the same parts, except for the aesthetics, which is nice because you can go to scrapyard and find something that at least is going to work. Because it's hard to find parts for these Trans Ams, especially the 82 to 84. Like the harness code, for the wiring, PED. I needed to get a sending unit. I had to go to scrapyard to get a sending unit because they don't sell them online. And sending units right there. That's a newer sending unit. And a lot of guys like to mod these. They like to have an access port for the fuel pump. So in case it goes out, that way you're not dropping the rear end in the tank. And yeah, So I'm going to be pulling those taillight housings. They're so old. I mean, some of the screws that hold us on have kind of broken off, and they go on like right here. You'll see. I'm going to take off this shock absorber thing. That's going to come off today. Going to soak that in WD or whatever and get that taken off. Here's my doors down here. So, and these doors have this. It says fuel injection right here because it's a Crossfire fuel injection car, which was an option back in the day. And these trim pieces here are, they were put on by the dealership back in the day. You could order as an option. And then the other version of those they had were these adhesive ones that the factory would put on as an option. So I've got the runners. I got the the rubber, what do you call it? The stuff, the filament that goes inside that aluminum runner. I got to order some new ones for that because it shrunk up. Because what happens is they're old. I mean, this car's an 83, so do the math. And see that gap is there. The rubber shrinks over time. So I got to get new things for that. And I've got this handy dandy shop manual that my buddy Ian gave me. And it's got every bolt, it's got everything in it. It's got torque values, it's got everything. It's got wiring diagrams. If you're inclined to rebuild a transmission, it's all got stuff there. I mean, this thing's like the holy grail. Don't settle for one of those stupid cheapy Chiltons or Haynes manuals, man. You get the dealership. The repair manual the dealership would have. My cover fell off finally, but you need to get yourself one of these. This is a service manual. Okay? Service manual. And you'll see how thick that book is versus I don't know. Oh, here it is. Here's my Haynes manual. This will give you the highlights, but it covers several years of cars. Look at the comparison as far as thickness. I mean, it's not even, it's like maybe a quarter of the thickness. So that's kind of where we're at, folks. And yeah, we're gutted at this point. And so then we can start. The engine's over here. Let's see, the engine's over here. And I can't get that little clip out for the crank. So I'm going to get that off Thursday morning. But yeah, we're down to the block. And some of the lifters fell out. These are the lifters. They just pull right out. And so you can see down there in the shafts. And then there's the crank. And the crank's the last thing that's got to come out. Here's where the mechanical pump used to be, which was blocked off because I have an in-tank pump. Okay? As opposed to just like a sending unit type thing. This little doohickey right here, this is a plug, a block plug that got frozen in there, so it's going to have to, or stuck, so I'm going to have to either heat it up and try and get it out, or we're going to have to drill it out and retap. A retap was when you put new threads in something where you had to drill out a plug or a screw or a bolt or whatever. So yeah, there we are. Here's all my rods, pistons. There's the harmonic balancers. There's the heads, and starter over there. This is the Crossfire fuel injection assembly. Here's a really crappy old oil pan. And there's the manifold, which technically I probably shouldn't have this pan on here. There we go. This is the intake manifold. Fuel runners, And this is the manifold you need to have for the Crossfire system. And this sets right on top of it. Obviously, there's a gasket and stuff, but going to have to do some work on this too, get it all cleaned up. So, lots to go, but we've made a lot of progress at the same time. New valve covers I'm going to get. And I'm going to replace what I have to replace. And I'm not going to cut corners. A lot of guys do these cars, and Well, good enough. Well, it's not good enough for me. It's all going to get done right. And these doors are going to get gutted. And everything's going to get cleared out of them and repainted. And going to paint the inside, prime it and paint it and stuff on the inside so that they don't rot out on me. I mean, this is a really straight car, and it's, aside from surface rust, there's not really a lot of rust on it. So why would you not want to go in and actually do it right and make sure that you don't get any rust? This car will be kept inside, you know, once I get it done. You spend this much time and money on a car, you want to make sure you don't have it just sitting outside and where it's getting all kinds of stuff on it, birds dive bombing it and everything. So there's the cavity for the linkage for the wipers. I vacuumed all that out the best I could, but I think I'm going to have to power wash it, get all that stuff out of there. And it's just really interesting how much dirt fell out of this car. But that's what the desert does. So, and this car had been sitting outside for quite some time. It had been sitting under a tree. It was covered in sap and those little helicopter seeds and all kinds of stuff. I actually had to get a buffing wheel or a hand buffer and actually get all the stuff off to get it, even to get the paint to shine again. Because when I got this car, I mean, that's original paint. It actually shines pretty good for being, you know, an 83. So car's 36 years old. I mean, that's something. But you'll notice here that the sticker had oxidized. That is not adhesive on there. If you look closely, that's actually down to that's down to the original paint underneath. So a sander will take care of that. So very interesting stuff. And yeah, I'm going to, that's where the bracket used to be for the, this model of car, 83 and up, had folding seats, but they separated. Whereas the 82 had the solid seat back. And so I took that bracket off so that I can convert it to a solid seat, because that's what the Pilot Knight Rider car was. KITT was a solid seat back. And then later seasons, it was a split seat back. A little bit of trivia for you guys that probably don't care what I'm telling you anyway. And so I got some rust up here because, you know, obviously it encountered a lot of water and stuff over the years. But funny thing is, you would not see this if these seals were put in. And that's why it's so important that I had pulled them, because there was a lot of damage there. It's probably the worst rust damage on the car. You can't see it right now, but I did find a couple of holes. This is seat fabric. This is a Perella. That's my Perella cloth seats that I got from Joe Huth. And those are going to be the seat covers, headliner, door panels, all that good stuff. And that's so that it's legitimate with an 82 Trans Am type seat cloth. So really cool that he was making that stuff. So shout out to Joe Huth for providing that for people to buy. So, and check out that guy. He was on Jay Leno's Garage. Him and his buddy there, AJ Palmgren, were on the show. So check that out. And yeah, so there we are. Probably a little bit more lengthy than it should have been. Here's the vacuum chart that they put on there for the vacuum lines, air cleaner, air management valve, solenoid, EGR. Gives you here's the information for the timing, the spark plug gapping, things of that nature, where if you're rebuilding one of these cars, it's good to know what those are so your car will fire properly. Your timing will be correct. What I was going to do is just show you. I can take all this stuff out now, but there's a hole I found. There's a hole right there. And what else? There was another one here somewhere. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's a good thing that you have to look for the hole, because that means it's not that big, right? So, yeah, that was the only one, actually. That was the only hole I had. And you'll see up here in the firewall area, I'm going to pull these wires out today. There's nothing holding them back. You'll see where it's kind of rough. up in here, that was all rust. I had to take a steel brush and some rust reformer and get out as much as I could. You can see through the firewall because I've gutted this thing, except for those 2 cables. But yeah, we're down. I want to take it down to the wall because I want to make sure there wasn't any rust at all. And you'll see some of the floor seam compounded come off. It's just old, but I think a lot of this stuff is because I could tell you when I got this car, they were not using floor mats, and the water was just, like you can even see right here. See what's rough? That was rust. That was a rust area, and that's where your feet would be. And that's why it's important if you want to have a car, at least keep a car a long time, use the floor mats, for crying out loud. And that's how this got here. Okay, this is where the people's feet would be. Someone got in the back and had there was no floor mats in here, even though the car came with them when it was originally built. The other thing I found was, if you can see right here, it's all dented in. That's because someone took a floor jack, probably changing a tire or something, and these are a unibody car. So it's a frame kind of joined with a body, it's kind of a hybrid. And it doesn't have a full frame going all the way through the bottom. So, and there's certain jack points that you have to adhere to, which that shop manual I showed you actually has them. I'm not going to leave them out, but it's very specific where you put a jack. And when they were doing that, unfortunately they didn't go through the floor because I had heard that people were actually doing that. They actually, even a garage, a service center would be like, they didn't know, they just assumed, and they went right through the bottom of the car. And there's guys that are building replicas or at least restoring these cars, that they had to do some serious work to get that pounded out. But mine, fortunately, you can't see it. I'm not going to do anything about it. It doesn't affect the integrity of the car. It doesn't affect the fenders, fitment at all. It's fine. So I'm just going to leave it alone. And this is not a trailer queen car, as they like to say. This is going to be a driver. It's going to be a third vehicle. And I'm going to drive it. I'm going to have fun with it. And it's not going to just sit. You don't spend this kind of money on something and just let it sit in a garage. It'll be parked in the garage, but I'm going to be driving it. So, and my wife and daughter are back already. But normally you find this thing looked like brand new when I got it. It's just got a lot of dust on it. This thing's been sitting around, but I couldn't believe how brand new this thing looked when I pulled the center pillar off. So anyway, there we go, guys. And I was gonna flip this around so you can see my beautiful face. There we go. And yeah, I'll catch you guys next time.